I'm interested in social media use in New Zealand and sort of what kind of impact that is having on New Zealanders. In particular, I'm interested in how body satisfaction is impacted or related to social media use. From previous research, we know that media, TV watching, reading magazines is linked to feeling less happy with your body. So we want to look at how Facebook use and social media in New Zealand is affecting body satisfaction because it hasn't really been looked at before. And it does seem to be showing a sort of negative effect for Facebook users in that people who use social media are comparing themselves with their peers online on their Facebook feed and are feeling less satisfied with the way that they look. This Facebook use could be a concern because Facebook use is sort of growing over time in New Zealand, and a large proportion of New Zealanders are Facebook users across all ages, even up into sort of the older age ranges. So it's not just young people that are using Facebook, and it's not just young women who are using Facebook, it's sort of across the board. And yeah, people who are Facebook users feel less happy with their bodies. Of particular interest is that middle-aged women show the biggest gap between Facebook users and non-users. So women up to around age 38 or in their 30s and 40s are the least satisfied with their bodies if they're using Facebook, and they show quite a big difference between Facebook users and non-users. Facebook use is growing, and we can't necessarily force people to stop using Facebook. I think it's about getting people to think about the way they use Facebook and the kinds of people they're interacting with on there and the way they're comparing themselves to their peers. So basically, if you're using Facebook and you find that you are unhappy with yourself, maybe it's something to think about in terms of the way you use it and the amount of friends that you have. Well, generally in traditional media, the reason that people feel unhappy with their bodies is because they're comparing themselves with, models and actresses on TV. Facebook is different because it tends to be related to comparing yourself with your peers and your friends and your family. However, we find that it basically has the same effect. So even if they're not professional models, professional actresses or actors, people still compare themselves with others and feel like they're coming up short and start to feel bad about their own body and appearance. From previous research, we would maybe expect that young women are going to have the highest rates of body dissatisfaction, as they tend to use Facebook more, and in other types of media, they're the ones who have sort of the eating disorders and the really low body satisfaction. However, in our results, we see that the lowest body satisfaction is actually among middle-aged women. So this might suggest that sort of things are changing over time as media shifts to sort of a more peer-focused media and social comparison. It's actually middle-aged women who are sort of feeling that they're coming up short as they compare themselves to the people around them. And this, of course, could have some long-term implications in that body dissatisfaction is very strongly related to eating disorders and disordered eating. And there may be some evidence suggesting that eating disorders are growing in middle-aged women and not so much in young women as people tend to expect. Male Facebook users do have lower body satisfaction than men who do not use Facebook. However, this doesn't change that much across age, and so we don't see the same dip in middle-aged men as we do in middle-aged women. So it's specifically middle-aged women that have the low body satisfaction if they're a Facebook user. We hope to follow up this research longitudinally, which is the great thing about the NZAVS and all these waves of data, is we really want to see how this is changing over time. So social media, it's relatively new, however it's sort of increasing in its use and it's going to keep on being used in the future. So it's a really important thing to study to see how these things are changing over time, especially as use is increasing.